Hello and welcome to the CreativeStudio 3.0 demonstration. I'm Matt Sherman, Chief Software Development Engineer for CreativeStudio. I'll be your guide through our exciting new features. Echo Pattern is an exciting new feature that we have in CreativeStudio. It allows you to take patterns like this and echo them like that. You may have noticed that when CreativeStudio 3.0 installed that a Windows update also installed. We did that to help the echo process. One of the ways to check to make sure that the update was applied correctly is to load the angel onto a quote group. Just click Repeat Patterns and set the angel. I'm going to close down the Repeat Pattern Setup properties. And then I'm going to right-click the angel, and to echo a pattern, you click the echo pattern feature. You can change the spacing to be whatever you want. You can set the number of echoes to be whatever you want. And then when you're ready, you just click Place Echo Pattern. It does take a little bit of time to echo. If the update was applied successfully, the angel will echo like what you see here. If it was not applied successfully, what you'll see is an echo that only goes right around her foot. After the echo is produced, CreativeStudio automatically selects that echo. We do that so that it'll be easy for you just to right-click again and select Echo Pattern. Place echo, and then you've got another echo on your screen. Like that. Now if you want, you can change the spacing. And the number of echoes. And then you can click Place Echo Pattern. Echo Pattern will always echo whatever is selected. So you wouldn't want to go back and keep picking the angel, because then you would just be stacking the echoes on top of each other. You always want to make sure that your furthest out echo is selected. There's a popping noise whenever the echo looping is done if you've done multiple echoes. It's kind of fun to vary the thickness of the echo. It is possible that some patterns will get trapped whenever you echo them. Here's an example of what it looks like when an echo becomes trapped. I know that this pattern will become trapped if I set the echo distance to 0.35. Place echo, and you'll get a warning that CreativeStudio believes that the echo has become trapped, which it has. Echo, error processing echo. Echo became trapped. Try increasing or decreasing the echo spacing. So it tells you what to do to try to fix the problem. Okay, and you can see what happened. As it came around here, it was coming up this way. There wasn't enough room for the echo to pass by, so it became trapped. To help you, it returns what it did. So it looks like I just need to go up a little bit more on my echo, and then this problem shouldn't happen. So I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to increase the echo to a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to place the echo. And that's much better. CreativeStudio can also echo patterns on the inside. I want to echo the inside of this basket. Now this will only work if the middle point of the pattern is inside the area you want to echo, like this one. Then you'll set the echo spacing to negative. I'll go ahead and do a couple of them. Whenever the echo is processing, notice that the hourglass is up. So be patient while it's processing. You'll hear a popping noise whenever the echo is finished. Okay, I've echoed this floor 3 times, and the last echo has not gone into the leaf areas of the flower, and this is due to a variation in the stem width. So if I echo again from the and do another inside echo, what will happen is it will produce an outside, because the inside echo comes from this point here and then moves over like this. I'm going to echo inside, and you can see what's happened. And I think once you understand the way that the echo inside works, it's understandable why this has come around and has produced an outside echo. I'll now show you an example of a trapped outside echo. I'm going to echo this pattern at 0.42 echo spacing, and I'm going to place echo center. This is the error message you'll get whenever the echo is trapped. If we zoom in, we can see what's happening. There's a variation between the distance on these flowers. Here it's closer, or it's wider, and so it allows it to go in. As it comes back out, the echo hits itself, which it won't allow overlapping of the echo, and so therefore it errors out. It does return to you the errored path, which you're probably going to want to delete, but I think it helps you to understand what you need to do to successfully produce this echo. If I just slightly increase the echo spacing, like 0.5, then it should go in successfully and not go into any of these leaf areas like that. Okay? Echo can also echo a open-ended pattern like this one. Now, you can move the original pattern away, and you have something that's kind of new. You can even save an echo pattern or a combination of echo patterns to a CSQ. So it's a fun way to make new patterns. Divide pattern was completely rewritten in this version from the ground up. Notice that now the divide feature stays available. Probably actually want to break off this flower here. And it stays active. So you can continue dividing without having to re-enter the feature. There I click delete. Click delete again. The divide is still available. Pressing escape will exit the divide feature. You can also divide text, which is not possible in the earlier version. I right-clicked in the Open CAD area, then I select Text Property and type my text. Click Place Text. From here I can select my font. You can select bold if you want. And place the pattern. I'm going to increase the size of this. Now I'm going to click Divide Pattern. And do you notice how the divide nodes are translucent? Where two divide nodes are stacked up, they become a little bit more opaque. This is the start and stop of the letter S. I'm going to divide here. You notice the opaque node here. And looks like the point of this A. Sometimes on letters that have an inside and an outside, it can be that the start and stop is on the inside part or the outside part. Sometimes it takes some playing with it. Looks like this one was on the inside. That's okay, we can combine it back together again later. Okay, I think you get the idea. To combine this A, I'm going to use a new feature, the window select. I'll talk more about it later. Alright, now we have STATLER. It might be a good time to point out another new feature. I'm going to press greater than key on the keyboard. It also has a period on it. And this will cycle through the sew order of the patterns. Notice the A is skipped because when you combine a pattern it goes to the end of the stack. You can see by the word end. So greater than and less than cycle through the order of the patterns. And I just noticed over here that I should have divided this R off. Okay, I've sized the text to per the height of this with the margin I want. Now I'm going to start moving the individual letters over. Just keep working your way down. Squash that L down a little. Along. There you go. And I still need to change the sew order on this, so I'm going to press F8 for sew order. And I want the outside to sew first, and then I want this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Like that. And then press F8 again to commit. If you want to double check, you can use your greater than key, and it'll show you the sew order. Window select was a common request from our enhancement list. And if your window starts in the upper left-hand corner, it must completely enclose the patterns you wish to select. This will only pick the upper row. Pressing Escape to deselect. But do the same thing from the right side, it'll select both rows. To use this feature, you start in the open cat area. You can't start over a pattern. And then you click and hold down your mouse, and as you drag, you'll start to see a window being produced. When you have all the patterns you want, you let go of the mouse and it will select those patterns. I'm now holding down the Control key and selecting patterns. In the past, if you made a mistake and picked an extra pattern, you had to press Escape to clear your selection and start over. Well, now just continue holding Control and click the pattern again and it'll be deselected. You can even come up here and deselect some of these and do stuff like this. Okay, I'm now going to show you some of the new Relocate tools, and I'm also going to show you some things you can do with Echo at the same time. I've echoed this angel until the echoes have completely filled the area. It's not desirable for them to go beyond this block that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, I've already selected divide earlier, like that. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to divide this echo up. Okay, now whenever I've got a piece divided off, I'm going to delete it like this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go offline and I'm going to finish this up. Okay, I'm just about done cleaning this up. If I want to get really picky, I can go up here to my pattern anchor and switch to endpoint and fix some of these up a bit. One little piece in there I need to get rid of. Okay. Now that took me a little while to do. I'm going to press F8 so I can check my sew order here. It's rather complicated. It's going to go 0 is the angel, then 1, and then pattern 2, then 3. And I think it'd be kind of nice if I could make this all sew continuously. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that as 0, then go 1, and then actually I don't like that. I'm going to press Escape. I think it's better to go 0, 1, and make this 2. So it doesn't have to tie off immediately. The little segment that was left up here. You gotta zoom in on these small ones. The reason that was reversing is because of a new feature now. If you click the arrowhead and sew order, it'll reverse the pattern. It's pretty handy for pattern editing, so you don't have to jump out and go to reverse pattern anymore. And then I'm going to go here, 5, 6. Then I'm going to go, might as well jump back over here to this one because it's close. And I'm going to reverse the order so that it'll, after this one finishes, it won't be as far of a drag thread. And then I would want to come up here to 8 and reverse its direction. Then drag thread over here to 10. And anything here and here. And this will go continue. If you wanted to, you could put in point-to-point lines and then set the sew order on those too, to where it would be continuous. Okay, I finished sewing this angel with the echo, and I liked how it turned out pretty well. So now I want to use a new tool called Relocate, because it was quite a bit of work to get that set up. And all you do is you can right-click any pattern. Actually, in this case, I want to select all that I want to relocate. I'm going to drag a window around all these patterns. I'm going to say relocate selected to one point. It'll ask you to click a point, mouse click a point on the CAD. Okay, it's important that it's at a point that you can get to on the other one. So in this case, I kind of like the idea of using the lower left-hand corner. Now it wants you to move the machine head to the control point on the quilt. So I'm going to step away for a minute and do that. And do you see how quick and easy that was to reuse something? Let me switch over here to my different pattern anchor so I can adjust its size a little bit. So you'll need to be aware of that. Matter of fact, I think what I need to do is change to the endpoint anchor. I thought I could change to that. Let me just pull these back in. I like that pretty good. Now that'll fit in that block, and that sure was a lot faster than going through all the work I did on the previous angel block. Make sure you toggle it as unsewn. And the advantage of keeping these all as individual patterns too was that I was able to manipulate each one rather than combining group like some people might like to do. I'm now going to show you a new way to do edge to edge using repeat patterns. Click repeat patterns. Set your desired height. Set your reference point. Set your quilt total width. And set your total length. Click OK. I want you to notice that I've got my grid set to 30 inches. And the patterns are going beyond the edge of the quilt. And the reason for that is there's a new default in CreativeStudio, or actually the default for starting in used to be off. Now it's on. So I'm going to change this to off. You want it to be on whenever you're doing like between corners on a border. But if you're trying to fit between two edges, like an edge to edge, you want it to be off. So I probably should have turned it off before I started doing this setup, but I wanted you to experience the error and be able to understand what was going on. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. That then changes the total width. Now I'm going to set my spacing, and I want to put in a negative. Let's try that. That looks pretty good. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to create a boundary around the quilt, and I'm going to go and do that right now. Click Create Boundary, and now I'm going to go click the corners of the quilt, and in the old edge to edge method, you can only click 4 points. With this, there's no limit. And even the direction of the clicks doesn't really matter. Okay, there you can see I've clicked around those areas. Now I can quilt, and I can quilt these 3 rows. I can adjust the patterns if I want. I can pull these out. You can also put in a trim. You can also do alternating and repeat patterns now, and then you can put in your trim. The trim doesn't go in automatically like the edge-to-edge function, but it's actually a little bit better that way because then you can follow a wavy line, and where the edge-to-edge just puts it in straight. Okay, I'm going to quilt this now. Okay, I finished sewing those 3 rows. I've rolled the quilt. So I'll move it like this so you can graphically visualize what that's like. And then now I'm going to use the Relocate feature. And the way that works is you click the pattern you want to relocate. And I'm going to click Shift All to 2 points. And this says, this will realign all patterns. Click Yes to proceed, then mouse click 2 control points on the CAD node to cancel. And right now you're in that mode. And I'm going to click E for endpoint snap. And I'm going to click 1 point here and 1 point here. Now it does not have to be the endpoints. It could be any 2 points. It could be like the butterfly's antenna or anything like that. But I think it's best if you use the endpoints. Now it wants me to move the head to those 2 points, so I'm going to go over and do that. Now isn't that neat? So it's rolled those up. These are up here beyond the tick-up roller. And these are ready to quilt. And you don't even have to re-enter the boundary. You can if you want, but that'll stay active through the whole quilt. And it's a pretty slick way of doing things. You can set sew order in here. Okay, I've sewed the next 3 rows. So I have 6 rows done. And now I'm going to do a relocate in a different method. The relocate to 2 points that we did earlier in this demo will take and rotate the pattern slightly. And I understand that some people don't like that about the current edge to edge, and they prefer for it to be to not rotate and to have to click less points. So we've added shift selected to 1 point, and I showed a demo earlier where I used that to move the angel in her echoes. In this case, I'm going to do the whole thing. Now, you have to do one thing before you come into this right-click menu. You need to select all the patterns, and then you relocate shift selected to 1 point. This will relocate the selected patterns, which is all of them. Click Yes to proceed. Now, you can click any point on the CAD to proceed. You know, it makes sense to click this endpoint here to where it'll line up. You have everything selected. The only endpoints are at the start and the end of the pattern. So I'm going to have to zoom in and just use my eyes to place this at the beginning. Okay, I'm going to move the head to that point. And click it. Okay, everything moved up, and now I'm going to double click on the CAD to clear my selection. There you can see 6 rows quilted, and we got another 3 to go. Now when you're using this method and you're not using edge to edge, you'll notice that the patterns down here are not light blue. So you need to be careful about stopping whenever you come to the bottom of your quilt. So just have to be a little bit aware of that. You can set sew order in this function which is you cannot do that in edge to edge. And you can also concatenate and repeat patterns now, and you can do alternating and repeat patterns. I'm now going to show you how to concatenate and repeat patterns. Just click the pattern with your mouse and then hold the control key down and select another pattern. Go into repeat patterns. See, they're both selected. And then I'm just going to put up 5 repeats by 4 rows. There you go. Alternating is just a matter of changing this value at the bottom plus row on top. And I should point out that the upper left hand corner is right here. These will quilt off the edge of the quilt, so you would actually put your upper left hand corner right here. You can use divide to break these up, or you can use a trim to place over the top of them. One of the first things you're going to notice when you run CreativeStudio 3.0 is that there's a new type of tie-off, and that's what we're calling the competitive tie. And it was one of the most popular features with our beta testers. You can get to this by going to Technical Support, Controller Definition, and then this checkbox is on by default. If you want to go back to the old way of doing ties, you can uncheck that. Basically what the competitive tie does is whatever you set your length to, the default is 7 at 43. It will sew 43 stitches per inch, 7 of those, and then it'll start sewing at 12 stitches per inch. Okay, so it's doesn't do the back tacking over the top of itself, and it's more the way hand guiders have done ties for a long time. We've reworked pattern to boundary to eliminate the skewing and to improve the margin size. So this pattern's aspect is the same as over here. We've included stitch count, and that is in the project properties, the yellow box. And here's the amount of stitches that this project has taken since I've started sewing on it. This tracks all stitches in regulated, constant speed, and even single stitches. We're now remembering the channel lock angle and the flip angle. When you come back, it's still there, and even if you leave the program and come back, it'll still be the same. You go into constant, it's remembered, and based, it's remembered. The stitcher position is now shown in the lower left hand corner. As you move the head around, it updates the coordinates. It can be useful for helping to get you to line things back up. We've also improved the crosshair, made it translucent and thicker so it shows up better. This crosshair is tied to the stitcher position. Notice as I move the stitcher around, the crosshair and the numbers at the bottom both move. The File Open menu dialog now supports adding multiple patterns at once. So here's some patterns that are in the same family. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select multiple ones. You can also press Control and deselect or reselect with the mouse. See, they've all added here. There is a limit of about 9 patterns that can be added at a time. You can now measure on the CAD screen. That's under Draw Measure Tool. It's also Alt plus M. If I want to know what this gap is, it can be used for helping me to set the spacing whenever I was in repeat patterns. You can pull this up at pretty much any time. It also works with the endpoint snap. The values that you get from this measure routine are also stored just like the other measure, and you can pull them up with a right click and you can transfer them over. You can transfer them into any properties window, and the angle can be transferred into pattern rotation. In the past, whenever you set up an edge to edge, it was wise to write down your values just in case you ran into problems and you had to reset up your edge to edge. You right click in the open CAD area, not on a pattern, and then click edge to edge settings. This will only come up if it's an edge to edge. And there's all the values that are over here on the edge to edge setup. So even after the edge to edge setup is closed, or even if you move to a different group, or you close CreativeStudio down, these values are still retained. So if you need to set up another edge to edge like it, you can. You can now rename quote groups by right-clicking in the open CAD, clicking Rename Quote Group, and then just typing the name of the new quote group name. Click OK, and then it changes it up here. We've changed the endpoint snap on the Draw Arc and the Draw Curve tool to be more like CAD programs. Notice that I've got endpoint snap turned on, and then I'm going to press and hold Alt and then press A to bring up the Draw Arc tool. And notice that it's not snapping like it did in version 2 to this endpoint until you get within the pink dot radius of the endpoint, or set a different way until it's close. So that means that I can keep endpoint snap on and I can click this second point, and then it automatically snaps on the last point. The curve tool is the same. I'll switch over to the curve. There it snapped. Now I'm just freehanding. And there it snapped. In the past, moving a large number of patterns like this butterfly used to take a pretty long time. We've sped up the pattern manipulation by a factor of 10. And now it's quite a bit more responsive. The customer fields now have drop downs like the other boxes, so that you can put a lot more data into them. A big change for the older machines on the Mod 3, 39, 34, the Mod A, the Mod B, and the Mod C, we updated the motor numbers to reduce the number of thread breaks and aborts, and this improvement has been very popular with our on the older Statler stitchers. We've also changed the Mod 3, 2135, and 3934 old style belt default to true. And what this means is if you're going to go in and freehand on these machines, that you'll have to click the aux encoder button on the regulated, like this. If I want to freehand regulated, I've got to activate this button, and now I can take my belts off from freehand regulated. Now this aux encoder button is only on the older machines, the Mod 3s, and we also encourage you Mod 3s to not sew belts off if you're doing an edge to edge. Go ahead and start a new project and do all your belts off sewing, and then if you're doing an edge to edge, keep the belts on and don't press this button. We feel that this was what was causing some problems with shifting of the patterns or the changing of the point of origin on these older machines. When you're drawing in version 2, if you right click, it stops the drawing and you can do a jump stitch and start drawing again. But in order to get out, you have to press escape. Well, now if you just press right click a second time, it'll end the draw function, and that works on all the draw functions. I've got 2 patterns stacked up here. It used to be that if I right clicked the pattern I had selected, it would switch over to the other pattern in the stack. Well, now the right click will not do that. And also you can right click anywhere on the screen. Whatever's selected will be what comes up with the right click menu. Our new nudge feature is accessed by selecting the pattern you wish to move and then pressing and holding the Alt key on your keyboard and then pressing the arrow, any one of the arrow keys on your keyboard. So here I'm holding Alt and I'm pressing up. If you just tap the arrow key, it moves in small increments. It's a good way for real precisely positioning patterns, and it's a little bit more accurate than using the move key in the button. Now if you wanted to move a long way, you'd be better off to use the center dot, but then if you want to get it there, if you just want to fine-tune, manipulate where the pattern is, this Alt with arrow keys, which we're calling the nudge feature, is much easier. Thank you for taking the time to watch this CreativeStudio version 3 demo. I'd like to point out that there is an interactive manual in this product. So if you press F1, you can get help. You can also download that as a PDF, and it's very good for you to read that. There's a lot of good information in there. Also, for the first time ever, we have training material released at the same time as the version came out to the public. That is available from the Gamma website. So I strongly encourage you to get that material and to go through it and to practice and to start putting some of these features to use on your beautiful quilts. Special thanks goes to the team here at Statler, our team at Gamma, and to our team of beta testers who have done an excellent job preparing this software for public. Thank you and happy quilting.